Parshas Lech Lecha. Up until now, Bereshis, Noach was the history of the world. Now we're beginning Jewish history. Lech Lecha is the beginning of Jewish history, and it's really the making of, right? You look at Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael, we're an amazing nation. We're an incredible nation. And how did this nation all come to be? How did it become this amazing nation? So you have the making of Lahavdil, right? Sometimes you have with movies, right? So you'll have like a blockbuster, movie, and then they'll tell you the making of, like the behind the scenes, how exactly it got to be. So now, basically, from now till the end of Sefer Bereshis, is all the making of Am Yisrael. There's actually a famous Sefer called the making of the making of a Gadol, I think, right? And it's about, it got put in Cherem because it had all these stories about different Rabbanim and how when they were younger they were like the rest of Am Yisrael. They were some of them were more rambunctious than others, but basically these parashiyos are the making of. What I want to discuss is hopefully show you something that you've never seen before in your entire life, that you've never heard before in your entire life, and you're going to walk out of the shiur, wow, holy cow, I can't believe I missed this my entire life. I really hope that's the feeling you're going to get, because when I learned it for the first time, that was my reaction. My reaction was, oh my goodness, how did I miss this? And hopefully you'll have that same feeling and the same kishmak. Every time, what's amazing about the Torah, every time you learn it, a new parsha, a new sugya, every time you find another depth to the Torah itself, and hopefully we'll come out with something fantastic and amazing. What I want to focus on, right? We usually try to focus on one thing, and then we'll get the message that comes out of it. So what I want to focus on is really the last few psukim of last week's parsha. This week's parsha starts with Avraham Avinu. Right? V'yomer Hashem el Avraham, Lech Lecha me'artzecha me'moladetcha me'beit avicha la'aretz asher arecha. Go. Where's he going from? What's happening? So in the last psukim of last week's parsha, we kind of read about it we don't even really pay attention. We didn't really notice. They're like lahavdil, what we would call fillers. You had to connect Noach to Lech Lecha. So they gave us a little bit of lineage, genealogy. This person had this child, he had that child. Next important character is born, Avraham Avinu. Let's go say the story. Let's go tell the story of Avraham Avinu. But it's much deeper and it's much greater. And I want to focus on one individual that's at the end of last week's parsha. I'll redo the psukim. We're going to do a little bit of you'll see I have a flow chart of the genealogy. You'll have to hold cup. You'll have to focus for the next 3 minutes. Then you can space out. But for the next 3 minutes, okay, you have to hold cup, and you'll see something that's amazing. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with the end of last week's parsha. Vayit terach 70 shana v'yoled et Avram et Nachor ve'et Haran. You have an individual. His name is Terach. He has 3 kids: Avram, Nachor, and Haran. Okay, 3 different children. Today we're going to focus on Haran. Okay, ve'el toldot Terach holid et Avram et Nachor ve'et Haran, and Haran has a child. Haran holid et Lot. Okay, Haran has Haran. He has one child, and the name of his child is boy. His name is Lot, which we're going to get to know this week's parsha and in the next few parshas. Vayamat Haran al pnei Terach Aviv. Haran dies before his father. Right, Terach is alive. Terach buried a son. Who was the son that he buried? He had 3 sons, like we said, Avram, Nachor, and Haran, but he buries his one son, Haran. That's so far what we know. Haran has a child, Lot, and we know that Haran dies early. Okay, now, Haran has another 2 daughters before he dies. Who are the 2 daughters that he dies? The next pasuk tells us. Vayikach Avram v'Nachor lahem nashim. Avram and Nachor, which are the 2 sons of, you guys still with me? Yeah? The 2 sons of Terach, they get married. Avram and Nachor, who do they marry? They marry the daughters of Haran. Haran has 2 other daughters. One daughter was Sarai Menu. She marries Avram Avinu. And the other daughter, her name was Milcah, and she marries Nachor. Okay? So far, what's very clear, who is the father of our first matriarch? Our matriarch, Sarai Menu. Who's her dad? Whose house did she grow up in? She grew up in the house of Haran. Haran is the father of the first matriarch. That's step 1. But let's go a little bit deeper. So you have Haran. He has a daughter. Her name is Sarah. That daughter marries Avram Avinu. Now, Haran has another daughter. Her name is Milcah. Who does Milcah marry? Milcah marries Nachor, which is the other brother of Avram Avinu. Okay? Now, I'll show you a flow chart in a second. It'll all make sense. Okay? And then you have Nachor marries Milcah. Nachor and Milcah have 8 sons. Okay? One of the 8 sons, his name is Betuel. We'll read the psukim after Akedas Yitzchak. It says, V'yachar d'vrim elu, v'yugad le'Avram lemor. Avram is told, this is much later on, Hine yalda Milcah gam hi banim le'Nachor achicha. Meaning, Nachor, your brother, Avram's brother Nachor, married his niece, right? The daughter of Haran, right? Married Milcah, and she also had children. What were the name of her children? It's Utz Bechorot, Buzah, and Bituel. And who is Bituel? Who is Bituel the father of? Ubetuel Yelad et Rivkah. Bituel is the father of Rivkah. So let's try to understand this, okay? You have Haran. Haran has a daughter. What's the name of his daughter? Sarah. Okay, that's the first matriarch. Haran has another daughter. Her name is Milcah. Milcah has 7 boys. One of the boys is Bituel. Bituel is the father of Rivkah. Rivkah also has a brother. What's Rivkah's brother's name? Lavan. Right? Lavan is his brother. Right? Lavan is his brother. Who does Lavan have? He also has 2 daughters. What are the name of his 2 daughters? Rachel and Leah. You have this? Haran is the father of all of the matriarchs. Right? Being the father of all the patriarchs, that's very easy because they each gave birth to one another. Right? But here you have one individual, Haran. He's the father of Haran. He's the father, of Sarah. He's the grandfather, the great-grandfather of Rivkah, and the great-great-grandfather of Rachel and Leah. And the question that I want to ask you is, who is this individual who became, that we know nothing about? Haran, okay? He's the father of all the matriarchs that we know. We're talking about the making of. We want to know, where does Am Yisrael come from, right? Let's take one step back. There's one individual who is the father of everyone. And I made you a chart, so hopefully it'll be a little bit easier. You have Terach. Terach is the dad. He has 3 kids, Haran, Nachor, and Avraham. I don't know if you're able to see, but you'll be able to see by the thing. Haran has 3 kids, Lot, Milcah, and Sarah. Sarah is matriarch number 1. Milcah has a son, Bituel. Bituel has 2 children, Lavan and Rivkah. Rivkah is the second matriarch, right? Lavan has the other 2 daughters, Rachel and Leah. So you have one individual, Haran, who's the father of Sarah, Rivkah, Rachel, and Leah. Who is this Haran? Question number 1. Who is this individual that is the father of all the mothers? That he was Zocha, that he's basically going there. He was shopping a lot of nachas, meaning he got killed before he saw any of this, right? But he was shopping a lot of nachas. Now, one second, we're not done. We said he had 2 daughters, right? From the 2 daughters, you have Sarah, and then from Milcah, you have the rest of the Imahos. He also had a son. Who is the name of his son? Lot. What do we know about Lot? Lot, not such a good guy, is a good guy, not a good guy. But also, what does he have? He has 2 daughters, right? He has 2 daughters. And from those 2 daughters, they have 2 sons. What's the name of those 2 sons? Ammon and Moab. Who comes from Ammon and Moab? David, Mashiach. Holy shmoly. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Haran. He's the father of all the matriarchs from the girls that he has. And then from the boys that he has, he's the grandfather of Melech HaMashiach. He's the grandfather of David, who comes and conquers and builds the Beis HaMikdash. There's an individual in Tanakh that we've been sleeping. We've been schluffing every time we read about Haran. Okay, fine, he's the guy. Let's get to Lech Lecha. Let's get to Avraham Avinu. Let's get to everyone else. I mean, we're sitting on a gem over here, and we know nothing about him. We know nothing about this individual. And if you want to know the making of a Gadol, the making of Am Yisrael, the making of the matriarchs, the making of Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben right, from Ammon and Moab, Ruth Moaviyah, who is Haran? Who is this individual? So 2 basic questions that I want to open up the shiur with, and hopefully you'll see something fantastic. Mamish, something you've never seen before. Okay? Question number 1. Haran is clearly the father of all of the matriarchs, of Sarah, of Rachel, of Rivkah, and Leah. Who is he? Why is he so special that he got to be the father of all of them, the father and the grandfather? And then that's from his daughters. From his son, he has a son named Lot, and Lot becomes the father of Ammon and Moab, which is the father of Mashiach, the father of David HaMelech, who comes from Ruth and comes from Ammon and Moab. Who is this individual, Haran? We need to know him better. We need to understand who he is in order so we can understand ourselves better, right? Because if you want to know what it means to be part of Am Yisrael, what it means to be part of this amazing nation, you have to know who Bubby is. You have to know who's Zayd, right? Whenever you go to visit your grandparents, at least by me, let me tell you, do you remember Saba this and Saba that? And they all tell you all the stories about this Bubby and that Zayd. Today is the class of Bubbies and Zaydis. That's the class today. That's what we're the shiur we have today. We want to know who our Alter Zaydi is. Who is our great-great-grandfather, Haran, which everything seems to start from him. So that's the question. Good question, huh? So far, so good. So far, Habibi, it's like we've been missing out. We've been totally missing the ball here. Let's see. Okay, there's 2 midrashim. It's actually a Rashi that quotes a medrash and another medrash. Okay, that I want to combine them together, and we combine these 2 midrashim together. You're going to see something incredible about Haran that you've never known before, I think, that I for sure didn't know before. And then it's going to shed light on who we are as a nation, and it's going to shed light on what we could do and what could we become, and hopefully you'll leave the shiur completely empowered and excited about being part of Am Yisrael. So there's a famous Rashi, right? We mentioned right away when we opened up the shiur that Haran died before his father. Terach had 3 boys, right? One of them was Haran, and Haran died in the life of Haran died in the life of his father. So we asked, what's going on? Why did he die early? So Rashi tells us this. Rashi points out, and I'll read you Rashi. Al pnei terach aviv. Vayamat Haran al pnei terach aviv. B'chayei aviv, says Rashi, while his father was alive. Umidrash gadal. How it happened? What did he die? Shal yedei aviv met. His father, Terach, actually caused his son, Haran, to get killed. Why? Shekibel Terach et Avraham bino lifnei Nimrod al shekitet et slamav. Avraham Avinu one day wakes up and he decides, I don't believe in any of this avodah zarah business. He goes into his father's Terach's house. He has all the little getchkas, all the little avodah zarah. He comes in with a hammer. What does he do? He breaks all of them except for one. And in that one, he puts the hammer in his hand. He puts the hammer into the hand of that avodah zarah. When his father comes in, his father says, what's going on here? What does Avraham say? Why are you looking at me? He's the one holding the hammer, right? He's the one who did it. He's the one, right? And he said, that's Babamai says he can't move. So he says, if you can't move, you think he created the world. What are you bowing down to? But he was still, Terach, that made his father even more upset, right? When your kids don't listen to you, it gets you upset. When they're right, it gets you even more upset, right? It's like, so here, he was right. So it got Terach very upset. So what does he do? He takes Avram and he brings them to the king. Who is the king at the time? Nimrod. Nimrod was the king at the time. And he says, what should we do with this guy, with this Avram? What should I do with my son? Who's been breaking all the idols in the whole city? So Nimrod has a court case. Then what does he decide? We're going to kill him. How are we going to kill him? We're going to throw him into the fire. Now, there's another son here, right? Who's the other son? You have Haran. Haran is next to Avram. It's Avram's brother. And Rashi explains that they asked Haran, they asked him like this, right? Which side are you from? Which team do you want to be on? Are you on Team Avram? Or do you want to stay with me, Dad? Do you want to stay with Terach? So says Rashi that Haran was a smart man. So he decided, let me wait, right? Why root for the home team? Let's see who's going to win. Whoever's going to win. It's let's see. There was actually a video. It was funny of someone went to the Super Bowl. I don't remember what the last 2 teams of the Super Bowl were, but the last Super Bowl there was like a video that went viral. This guy went in with a jersey, and whenever the other team scored the team, he put on that team's jersey. So he was always rooting for the team that was up. And then whichever team won, he just put on that word. Yeah, I'm part of that team. All right, I won. Right? So Haran, what seems to be over here is he says, let me hedge my bets. Let's see what happens. Right? They're about to throw Avram Avinu into the fire. So they ask Haran, what are you on his side or are you on Terach's side? So what does Avram Avinu say? Let's wait. I'm not sure yet. Okay? They throw in Avram. Avram goes in. What happens to Avram Avinu? He's saved. So they ask Haran. They say, what team are you on? He says, Avram Avinu, obviously. They throw Haran inside the fire. What happens to Haran? Haran's died, right? And that's what it says. And that's what it says that Pnei Terach Aviv, says Rashi, that his father caused him to get killed because his father brought Avram Avinu to this court case, and he brought his son Haran also to the court case. Haran had to choose. Haran bet, it seems like, on the wrong horse. He was an opportunist that bet on the wrong horse, and that's why he got killed. And that's how my entire life I've been learning this Rashi. This Rashi does not shed good light about Haran. Right? What does it show about Haran? He was like trying to wait. Let's see whose team. Let's see who's going to win, and then I'll jump to that side. Right? Oh, I'm on his team. Oh, I'm on his team. Right? My son. Sometimes we play like Monopoly. Right? So my son doesn't yet know he's 3, right, or 5 already. So he doesn't know exactly all the rules of the game. So whose team are you on? Whoever has the most money. I'm on his team. Oh, now I'm on his team. No, now I'm on his team. Right? Is that really what Haran is doing? That's how I always learned Rashi until I saw another medrash. There's a medrash Agada in Bereshis Yud Aleph Chachas. Okay? And this medrash, combined with this Rashi that he quotes, is going to shed light on who Haran was and how he was such an incredible person. Mamish incredible. Says the medrash like this. Haran, his whole life, back in the day, there were different forms of avodah zarah. Right? There was, you can worship the sun and the moon and the trees. And all. What was the avodah zarah that Haran was the one that he worshipped? He worshipped fire. That was his avodah zarah. Haran used to bow down. He was known as the fire guru. He used to go out to weddings. He used to blow fire. He used to be the guy who was doing all the shtick with the fire. That was his avodah zarah. Okay? So now, put yourself in Haran's shoes. Okay? Haran, you have Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu gets pulled into court. They're in front of the king. The Nimrod says, off with his head, we're throwing him into the fire because he destroyed all the avodah zarah. So they take Avram Avinu. Okay, and Haran now says, one second, let's wait to see what the outcome is. They throw Avraham Avinu inside the fire. What happens? Miraculously, Avraham Avinu is saved. He's saved from the fire. Why? Because he had emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, now you have Haran. Haran is right here. He is, everyone knows him. He's the priest, he's the pope of fire. That's who he is. He's the pope of fire. He davens to the fire. Everyone knows that he's the fire. So now, when Avraham Avinu, when the court case asks Haran, and they say, whose side are you on? Are you in the fire? Or are you on Avram's side? Or are you on Terach's side? What could Haran have said very easily? I'm on Terach's side. If I'm on Terach's side, I'm going to leave. Says the Medrash, if he would have done that, everyone would have said, how was Avraham Avinu saved from the fire? Because he has a brother, Haran, who's the pope of the fire. He's like, he bows down to the fire. He worships the fire. So Haran, through his ability, because he worshipped the fire, that's how he was able to save his brother, right? So on one side, Haran has an option. He says, if I go to Dad, if I go to Terach, number one, I'm saved. Number two, not only am I saved, what else happens to me? Everyone thinks of me as the savior. Because why didn't my brother get saved? Everyone's going to say, it's because of him. Because I bowed down to the fire. I know how to worship the fire. I was able to control the fire. I was able to tell the fire, don't be hot at that moment. And that's how I saved my brother. But if he jumps in, he knows for sure he's not going to get saved. Why does he know for sure he's not going to get saved? Because if he jumps in, he knows that the whole fire, worshiping fire is fake now. Because he saw that Avraham Avinu got saved. So he knows the one God is the monotheistic God. Right? So he's not, he knows that the worshiping the fire isn't real. And he also knows, you ready? That Hashem isn't going to make a miracle and save him. Why is Hashem not going to make a miracle and save him? Because it would defeat the whole purpose of saving Avraham Avinu. Why was Avraham Avinu saved? To show the whole world that there's one monotheistic God that controls the whole world. If Haran is now saved, and Haran is an individual who worships the fire, so what's everyone going to say again? The reason why Haran was also saved was because he worships fire and he was able to control the fire. So Haran now has a very clear option, okay? Terach tells him, Haran, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of Avraham Avinu or on your side of my side? If he goes to Terach's side, what's he basically saying? He's saying, I'm going to save my life. I'm going to get upgraded. Everyone's going to look at me and say, you're amazing, you're incredible, you're awesome. The reason why your brother was saved was because of you. And he's going to become the next big leader in the world. That's what happens if Haran goes to Terach's side. But if he jumps into the fire, he's 100% sure that he's going to get killed. He knows that God isn't going to save him like he saved Avraham Avinu. Why is God not going to save him? Because if God does save him, so then it defeats the whole purpose of saving who? Avraham Avinu. Because the whole reason why Avraham Avinu was saved was to show that there's one monotheistic God. And if you also save Haran, what's everyone going to say? It wasn't that God, the one monotheistic God, saved him. Rather, who was the one that saved him? It was the fire. It was Haran. He was able to manipulate the fire like he did to save his brother. So Haran has a very clear-cut choice here. I can either join Terach, or I can jump into the fire and give up my life for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And what does Haran do? What does he do? He gives up his life for a monotheistic God, for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The first person in the entire world to give up his life for HaKadosh Baruch Hu is who? Haran. This is the making of a Jewish nation. Who is the father of all the Imahot? Who is the father of Melech HaMashiach? Who is the father of David HaMelech? The first person who was willing to give up his life for Am Yisrael, for HaKadosh Baruch, for a belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and embedded in the genes of all his children is this ability to be moser nefesh for the belief that there is one God. This is Haran. We didn't know. We mamish didn't know. This is the making of mamish. And you see this throughout the lives of Sarah, of Rivkah, and Rachel and Leah. Right? He embedded in all of them this idea that there's one God, and that's what's worth living for. That's what's worth fighting for. That's what Am Yisrael is all about. So he has his daughter Sarah. Sarah grows up in the house of Haran, seeing her father. She knew that her father gave up his life to belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So that becomes the most important thing in her life. So when Yishmael now grows up and he's a bad influence on Yitzchak, what does Sarah say? Kick him out. We can't. My father gave up his life for this. My father gave up his life for monotheism. My father gives up his life to be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So when we're living, let's live to the fullest. Get rid of Yishmael. He's going to have a bad influence on Yitzchak. And you have it with Rivkah. With Rivkah also, the next generation, she grew up with the stories. You know who Haran was? Haran gave up his life for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So he says, Esav's going to get the brachos. Let's kick him out. Let's make sure that Yaakov somehow, she didn't kick him out. He says, but let's make sure that Yaakov somehow is going to get what? Yaakov is going to get the brachos. And then you have with Rachel. Rachel steals the trafim from her father. Right? She's willing to put her life on the line to make sure that there's no avodah zarah. She's the one who tells Yaakov Avinu, "V'im ayin, if I don't have children, what's the point of living? If I can't give over the mesorah to the next generation, so then what's the point of continuing?" And then you have it also with Leah. Right? Leah knows she's going into a relationship, right? That she's going to be the hated wife. Right? And we saw that she was the hated wife. She names her kids Shimon, Kisnua, Anochi. Right? But still she does it because embedded in her is this value of being moser nefesh for your belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you don't know what you would die for, so then you don't know what you're living for either. If there isn't something that is so valuable for you that you would give up your life for that thing, so then what are you living for? Right? Now, it doesn't mean that a person needs to give up his life, right? At everything, but you need to understand what's the value? What gives value in life? What am I living for? What are the important things in my life? And we find this where? We find this with Ruth Moaviyah. Ruth Moaviyah, right? You have Ruth who's coming back, right? She wants to go back and she wants to convert. So what's the psukim that they say? V'tomer Ruth. She tells Naomi, Al tivki bi leozvech l'shum, right? And he says like this: Ba'asher tamuti amut v'sham mekaver. She says, I'm willing to give up my life for Am Yisrael, right? Ruth understands that there's something to die for. And if there's something to die for, that means that there's something to live for. And that's why she says, I'm willing to give up my life for being part of the Jewish nation. This is the making of a gadol. This is the making of the Jewish nation. So we started off, right? We said, who is Haran? The father of all the matriarchs. Who is Haran? The father of Lot, which is also the grandfather of Avraham and Imahos, which from there comes Mashiach. Haran was the first person who was willing to give up his life for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And because he did that, he was the first Jew in all of Tanakh who was able to do that. Avraham Avinu thought he would do it. Avraham Avinu jumped in, but it didn't actually happen. Haran was the first individual who actually gave up his life, knowing 100% sure he's not going to come out of it. And that was the genes that were embedded in all of Am Yisrael to be able, throughout all of history, it what gives us the koach to continue. And you see it now. You see it now in the generation that we're living in. Yeah, Mamish, you see now this strength that Am Yisrael has. You walk in the street here in Eretz Yisrael and you speak to the people that are around. You see the power that every single person has, and this it's embedded deep in our DNA. Right? They have one of the Chatufim that just came back. I forgot his name. Ram. Forgot what his name was. But they tried to convert him when he was in Gaza. When he was in Gaza, tried to convert him. He said, absolutely not. He says, I'm a Jew and I'm strong and I don't believe in this stuff. Mamish like the case of Haran. He says, absolutely not. And they would try to entice him with food. They said, here's food. You eat this, read one verse in the Quran and we'll give you a whole pita. Read one verse and we'll give you a cup of water that doesn't have salt in it. That's not seawater. And he refused. And when he came out of captivity, right now by Arab Simchas Torah, what did he say? He said, I'm Jew, I'm strong. The first thing he wanted to do was put on tefillin. That's the first thing he wanted to do, to show to the world. I'm Jew and I'm strong and I'm able to continue and I'm able to fight. Even here in Ra'anana, right? You have soldiers who gave up their life for Am Yisrael, just the shul that we're in. Oh, Ari, right? Is the Ulu Nishmas, Ari Weiss, right? His parents, Yibadu Chaim Tovim, Rabbi and Rebitz and Weiss. He's someone who was willing to give up his life for Am Yisrael. Now, what's fascinating about our generation is that in the previous generations, when you had Jews that were giving up their life for Am Yisrael, it was a very passive way of giving up their life. What does that mean? Very passive. That you had the world that was controlling us, and you had someone who put a gun to your head and would say, you have an option, okay? Either give up your life or convert to Christianity. So it was a very passive way that we had to give up our life, right? We basically, Am Yisrael, we did it throughout generation. We jumped into the fire. Our generation, in the past, since Qom Hamdina, we have a whole new way of mesirus nefesh. It's a mesirus nefesh that it's not just that if you attack me and I have no other option I'll give up my life because I believe in it, but I'm actually going out to fight because I believe in this. Because this is what I believe, that Am Yisrael belongs to Eretz Yisrael. I believe that there's a Torah. And I believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah and He gave it to the Jewish nation and we're supposed to be here. When you're going out and you're fighting for that, it's a whole different level of mesirus nefesh. The soldiers that fell now throughout the war, just from Haran, you have Aroni Chittis and Nathan Roosevelt. These are Chavra. They wake up in the morning, Shem Yikom Dama, and they said, we are here to defend Am Yisrael. We are here to go out, and we know what the risks are. Right? It's not every soldier that goes into Gaza, they write a letter. Right? They write a letter preda. They know the chances. They know what can happen chas v'shalom when you go to certain situations, but they still do it. And this is embedded in their genes throughout all of Am Yisrael. And we want to suggest today that maybe it all started from Haran. And I want to share with you an incredible story that happened a little bit ago in Yerushalayim with me. It was a personal story. Never heard this story before, but I think it brings out this message that we're saying today, and it brings out Am Yisrael as a whole. So it was Chol HaMoed Sukkos. And I think it was the first day of Chol HaMoed. My sister from LA was here. And it was one of, sometimes Chol HaMoed, you have like trips planned in advance that you're waking up at 8 and you're doing da. Half the day you're sitting in traffic and you get 5 minutes of an activity and then everyone's kvetching, but everyone's happy, but everyone's kvetching, but everyone's happy. That's a regular Chol HaMoed day. And then you have the other Chol HaMoed day trips where you give up. You're just like, I don't know. Daven Shachris, we'll figure it out. So that was one of that day. It was, we're giving up before it was first day Chol HaMoed, before we even started. We woke up, okay, what are we doing now? What are we doing now? Abba, what are we doing now? What are we doing now? So, I don't know, we're just relaxing. What does that mean, relaxing, right? So it's all, right, so fine. So my sister calls me up. It's around lunchtime. She says, I'm going to Pucalino. You know what I'm talking about? It's like this milchik, what's it called? Piccolino. It's called Piccolino. It's in Kikara Musica in Yerushalayim. So I'm going to Piccolino for lunch with my family and also my nephew and my niece from the other side. And do you guys want to come? So we want to come. Chol HaMoed activity. We're there. We're going to Piccolino. We're going to lunch. Everyone grab your bags, take 10 minutes. Now this I never understood. A Jewish mother packs food to go to a restaurant. It's like this thing. You never seen this before? Yeah, like apples and drinks and this. Why? Because we're going on a trip. Where are we going? We're going to eat. If we're going to eat, what do you need to take apples for? We're going to eat it. No, in case we need it. She was right. We didn't need it. But because the kid is crying along the way. Anyways, we get to Piccolino. So if you've been there on Sukkot, they take all of Kikara Musica and the whole outdoor space, they build a sukkah. So it's like this massive sukkah. We have a big table because it's her whole family, it's my whole family, plus the nieces and the nephew. You have like, 10, 12 people on, maybe a little bit more, maybe 15 people on the table. And the waiter comes over, the waiter starts, we order, and it was lovely water food. Now I noticed, when I'm looking at the waiter, a young guy, he has a necklace, and it's an image of a lion. It's an image of a lion. So as he's done, as everyone's ordering, I was like, oh, you have an aryeh. Otherwise, Am Kelavi, it's like you got it for the attack when Israel attacked, because it was like the same logo as like that lion that the Israeli army had you got it because of the operation that we attacked Iran, Am Kelavi. So he's like, no, it's not because of that. I was like, oh, so what is this? He's like, oh, 1 second, let me put in the order and I'll tell you. So he goes in, he puts in the order, and then he comes back and he says, do you really want to know? So I said, sure. I was like, okay, fine. So in the meantime, everyone is talking among themselves, and now it's just me and him. So he says, I'll be honest with you. He says, this is the necklace. He says, I am a chayal in Oketz. Oketz is the dog unit. And he says, I've been in Gaza for the past 2 years, in and out the whole time. He says, and on the 7th of October, my mefaked got killed. His name was Aryeh Tsiring. He's actually from Ra'anana. Aryeh Tsiring from Ra'anana. And he said, the reason why I wear the necklace is because it's a necklace of a lion. What's a lion? Aryeh. I remember my mempe, I remember my mefaked. I leave it on my heart. So like I'll never forget him. That's why I always had it. I was like, oh my goodness, like you see this guy, and he seems like he's nothing, or like whatever, he's a waiter, but he went out to fight and defend Am Yisrael. And I was so taken aback. I was like, whoa. I was like, we have to announce this to the whole table. My sister's from LA. So I say, I shush everyone down. I say, Chavra, you have to listen to this. I asked our amazing waiter over here, why he has the necklace of an aryeh, right? Tell him what he says. So he gets up and he says the same thing, he repeats to everyone, okay? He says, I was a soldier, I was in Oketz, and this is from my mempe. And my sister, who's there from LA, she's like, all to him, she says, I can't believe it. He says, we have to say Perik Tilim Le'unu Nishmato. Right? We have to, now this guy's doesn't look religious, he's not wearing tzitzis, he's not wearing a kippah. He says, I would love to. So we all together, in the sukkah, in Piccolino, there's like 100 people there, okay? We start singing, Shir Lamalot, Esa'ena Yele'arim. And he joins us, and as we're singing, he starts bawling. Mom is crying like a little kid, just crying and crying and crying. And then my sister sees him cry, so she cries. Now everyone's crying. Now the other tables that are nearby, they're also like, what's going on over here? Why is everyone crying and singing Shir HaMalos? And this is Am Yisrael. And as we're done the song, my sister says, I need a bracha from you. You put your line on the life for Am Yisrael. You're such a special person. Could you give me a bracha? So he says, listen, I'm not so special. There are people who are much more special than me and people who do much more than me. And we told him, that's why we want a bracha from you, because you are so special. And the part of what makes you so special is that you think that other people are special, more special than you, but you're really so special. So he gives us a bracha, and Yisrael Avatzlacha, whatever, and we give him a hug, and we give him a kiss. And then I told him, I said, listen, I have something for you, because he had to continue the action. I take out 200 shekel. I said, it's not a tip, don't get excited. Right? I said, I'm giving this to you because I want you to give it to a tzedakah of your choice. So I wanted to continue the good deed past what it actually was. And then he left, and we sat down, and we continued our meal, and it was a beautiful Yantiv meal. But what did we discuss? At the table, what we said was that you walk down the streets of Eretz Yisrael, and you see people, and some of them have a necklace, some of them don't, some of them look like this, some of them look like that. And what are they? Many of them, you don't even know. These are all malachim. These are all angels that are willing to give up their life so you can come to a shiur on a Wednesday morning and learn Torah in an air-conditioned room and enjoy and be part of the mesirus of Am Yisrael. They're willing to jump into the fire, not just jump into the fire, they're willing to stop the people who are trying to get you in the fire. Literally, it's not just they're willing to give up their life and that's it. They're willing to give up their life so you can live comfortably, right? And you walk down the street today, it's like I'm scared to talk to your average person that you bump into. I'm scared to talk to them because you don't know. You don't know what he's seen, what he went through in the past 2 years, what type of angel he was, what type of shliach he was, what did he do for Am Yisrael, right? Every Jew I meet now, by default, I just want to give them a kiss. I just want to give them a kiss and say, you must be a very special human being. I don't know why yet, but I'm sure you're probably a very special holy person. And all of this comes, it's all embedded in our DNA. Now, why is it important to know this? Because there's dying al Kiddush Hashem, and then there's living al Kiddush Hashem. Meaning, these chaylim, atzadikim, were willing to give up their lives, and some of them already did. Give up their life for you. They have it in their genes, from Sarah, from Rivkah, from Rachel, from Leah, from Haran, where it all started from. They had it, it's in their genes, and they did it for you. So what are you doing now? How are we showing them that their life was not in vain? What are we doing, and how are we living a life of Kiddush Hashem in their merit and in their honor? And that's really the story of Am Yisrael, that we have points where we fall, and we have points where we're destroyed, and we have points where we get knocked down, and you have times where people give up their lives for us. But now we're alive. So there's dying al Kiddush Hashem, and there's living al Kiddush Hashem. There's a famous story from Shlomo Carlebach. Shlomo Carlebach, it was the last Leila Seder in the Warsaw Ghetto. Last Leila Seder in the Warsaw Ghetto. And there was one individual there who knew the Haggadah by heart. He knew all the Haggadah by heart. So he went around quietly inviting people to the Seder. Inviting people to the Seder. He said, I have a special Seder on Matzah, we're not sure yet. But come, I know the Haggadah by heart, and I'm going to say it. So it comes, it's Pesach night, and it's quiet. Everyone's like in some basement underneath, and it's packed inside with all these Jews who just want to have one last Seder. And they start the Haggadah, right? Kadesh Urchatz Karpas Echatz. They get through, start Halach Ma'anyam. They get to Manishtana. Manishtana, Laila. There are no kids to ask any questions. The adults are asking it. At the end of the Manishtana, there's an old man, so Shlomo explains, who's at the table, and he claps on the table. And he says, shh, shh. It's quiet in the room. And he says, he stands up, and he says, Master of the world, we just asked 4 questions. I have a 5th question. He says, Master of the world, look around this table. Look around this room. They're all different types of Jews. You have the Hasidic Jew, and you have the Reformed Jew. You have the conservative Jew and the Orthodox Jew. You have the Tziyoni, and you have the Chassid and the Misnagid. You have all different types of Jews. It says, Master of the world, why do Jews know how to die together, but they don't know how to live together? And he sits there. And Shlomo Carlebach used to always say, he says, you know why? Because living a life every single day, day in, day out, is very hard. It's very hard to live al Kiddush Hashem. It's very hard to die al Kiddush Hashem also. But to live al Kiddush Hashem, it's the day in, it's the daily grind, the in and the out. But what I'm telling you today, the message I have for you today, is that you are the children of people who knew how to die al Kiddush Hashem, and you are the children of people who also know how to live al Kiddush Hashem, which means that we have to do whatever is in our koach to really live al Kiddush Hashem every single day, to try to maximize every moment, every type of, and you're already doing it. On a Wednesday morning, I said it last week also, I'll probably say it every week, that I'm shocked to see how many people come, and in the middle of the day, at 11 o'clock, voila, the shul packed with people. Fascinating, right? What are you showing? You're showing, yeah, I'm here to live a life of Torah, a life of connection, a life that has meaning, that has purpose. So there's so many things that you can do every single day to live a life of Kiddush Hashem. You wake up in the morning, daven. Say moda'ani with kavanah. Okay? Stop before you touch your phone. That's the next thing, to try to be off your phone as much as possible. Yeah, one of the biggest things you can do to change your whole life is don't sleep in your room with your phone. If you take your phone out of the room, don't go to sleep in your room with the same phone. You'll have a much better sleep. You'll have a much better relationship. Life will be much better without putting your phone in your bedroom. It's not easy. But it's something you can do. So every day, wake up in the morning, say moda'ani with kavanah. Try to give tzedakah. Don't sleep with your phone. When you're benching, bench with a bencher. Do the mitzvahs more mindfully, right? Everything that you do it with more kavanah, tchila. You have a friend that you know is going through a difficult time, or you don't know if he's going through a difficult time. Give him a call. Live al kiddush Hashem. Live a life that is emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Live a life that there is a connection and there's a purpose and there's a meaning to everything that we do. So what we saw today, I hope, is something that you've never seen before. Fascinating. The making of Am Yisrael. It all started from this one individual which we didn't know anything about until now, Haran. Haran was the first person who gave up his life before for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for Emunah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that embedded in the genes of all of us this ability that we're here for a purpose, this ability that we're here for a reason, and that we could live al Kiddush Hashem, and Bezat Hashem will be zocheh to have a lot of bracha and a lot of simcha, and all the chayalim who gave up their lives al Kiddush Hashem, we should make them proud. We should say, you didn't die in vain, you did it for a reason, and we're going to continue to carry the torch from generation to generation. Bezat Hashem will all have a lot of bracha and simcha and atzlacha. Good day. Atzlacha.